Brought to you by 1AAuto.com, your source for quality replacement parts and the best service on the internet.
Hi, I'm Mike from 1AAuto. I hope this how-to video helps you out. And next time you need parts for your vehicle, think of 1AAuto.com. Thanks.
In this video, we're going to show you how to remove and reinstall the front drive shaft. This is a 2006 Ford Explorer. This process is the same for many Ford vehicles, Explorers, as well as Mercury, Mountaineer, and the like. On this vehicle, we use jack and jack stands, 8mm socket and a T30 torque driver, ratchet, an extension, pry bar or large screwdriver, a hammer, and a torque wrench. Front drive shaft is under the driver's side. Raise and secure the vehicle on jack stands. And then the rear of the drive shaft connects in with 6 8mm bolts on that flange there. And then following the drive shaft to the front, there are 4 T30 Torx bolts that hold the front yokes onto the front differential. And if you like, you can mark the front yokes so that you can install them into the same location. And then you can do the same thing for the rear yoke. Mark the flange and then mark. Start at the rear with an 8mm socket on an extension. I use a 3/8 and 1/4 inch adapter, so I can use a 3/8 handle, which gives me a little more leverage. Put a pry bar or a large screwdriver into the yoke to hold the drive shaft, and then put your ratchet socket extension on. And it takes a little bit of force to get them off first, but then they go fairly easily, and I'll speed up. The rear bolts don't come all the way out. You can just loosen them up as much as they can until they're kind of moving freely in the flange. And then you'll want to use a large screwdriver or a pry bar and hit the shaft side of the flange to loosen it up and drive it out of the transfer case side. And same thing at the front. Put your screwdriver in to hold the shaft from turning, and then the T30 Torx driver with the extension and ratchet. And you can just remove those 4 bolts as well as the 2 yoke brackets. Pry bar, large screwdriver, and pry the front yoke out of the flange. And then you'll want to push the drive shaft towards the rear of the vehicle and lift it up over the yoke in the front, and then go to the front to drop the back down and out. And if you should lose one of the caps off of the front U-joint, you just want to make sure you collect any of the needle bearings, put them in there, put a little bit of grease back in, and then put it back on, and you'll be okay. Reinstallation basically is a reverse of the procedure. Put it up and to the top and left of the differential, then slide it back in, and you'll have to get the back flange kind of seated a little bit, then force the drive shaft back and pull it down into place and line up the U-joint into the front differential yoke. Take the T30 Torx bolts and one of the yoke brackets and put it up in place. Start the bolt in, and then start the second bolt in, and then you'll spin the flange around. You got to make sure that the U-joint is seated correctly in the yoke of the differential. Make sure it's fully seated in there. And you can just start it, and then when you turn the drive shaft, make sure you're pushing the drive shaft into the differential to keep it seated correctly. And then repeat the same thing for the other side. And you'll want to tighten these up evenly and then torque them to 150 inch-pounds. 150 inch-pounds is just over 12 foot-pounds, so they're not actually that tight. And then the rear is a little bit tricky. You kind of want to get it into place, and you have to twist it to line up the bolts, and then just force the bolt in with your fingers and get it going. And once you get them going, they're actually fairly easy. You want to avoid cross-threading them, but get them into place. Again, they should be pretty easy. I basically kind of get each one of them just a little bit firm, and then again, these will torque. You want to torque these, same thing, 150 inch-pounds. Thanks for tuning in. We hope this video helped you out. Next time you need parts for your car, please visit 1aauto.com. Also check out our other helpful how-to as well as diagnosis videos.